Ever since moving to California as an adult, nothing gives me that Christmas feeling. There's no snowfall, no cold, crisp winter air, no magical moment that resonates with my nostalgic holiday memories. I'm living alone and I'm single, with no family living near me, so I don't have many to share the holidays with. Plus the fear of what's been happening lately with YouTube and I think Lindsay Lohan, strangely, has been weighing on me.
Give the people what they want, what they demand.
Alright, Joe, so I just got off the phone with YouTube, and then I woke up right here. Like a Freaky Friday situation. This is like the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday, Joe. I think that she's been listening in somehow and figuring out that we're making jokes about her.
There's gotta be some great Christmas specials.
You know what? There are a ton of great Christmas specials, Joe, and most of them are made by the exact same company. One of my favorite pastimes of Christmas when I was young was tuning in to watch classic Christmas specials. They filled me with such warmth and joy. They rang in the holiday season and gave my family a reason to gather around the old TV together and watch Frosty come to life. Now you can see them streaming anytime you want, or they'll play them 14 times a day on Freeform all month long, but when I was young, you'd have to tune in on a random Tuesday in December for your one and only chance to see specials like A Charlie Brown Christmas or How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The holiday special was once just that, special. They were miniature events, part of the seasonal traditions.
Happy birthday!
That hat brought Frosty to life.
I might be dating myself here, but I remember looking through the old TV guide, trying to plan out what specials I would watch through the month of December. You had to use a print publication to look up the one and only time that the Grinch was going to commit serious felonies all around Whoville.
Whoa. Downer Christmas video, Josh?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on it, but I love California. Just the palm trees don't really fill me with the spirit of Christmas.
We're doing a Rankin Bass video. Not even about fish, apparently, so that's gotta fill you some holiday joy.
Yeah, I thought it would, but today, I couldn't even bring myself to deck the halls.
Wait, your halls remain undecked? They're just halls?
Yeah, halls.
Don't be a Grinch, man. Unless your heart grows 3 times this size, because that might be pretty cool.
Heart attacks actually run in my family, Joe.
Ooh, yeah, well, you gotta find some Christmas spirit because we've got a cheery holiday video to write.
Okay. I think I know what to say. Christmas specials are a dime a dozen now, and there's a ton of terrible ones that are basically just cash grabs looking to give you a false sense of comfort in order to get you to go to the mall for their corporate greed and over-commercialized holiday that Reinis from Peanuts can't even begin to explain to me the true meaning of Christmas. It's a hollow box wrapped up in expensive paper and bows that are just so—
Whoa. We're aiming for uplifting.
Sorry, yeah, okay. I'll try again. Alright, so there are a ton of Christmas specials, and some of them have become true classics, but it does make you wonder how this tradition got started in the first place. The kings of the holiday specials were Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin Jr. Their Rankin Bass productions are some of the most iconic and well-loved holiday specials, and you probably know many of them. Even if you've never watched any, you know exactly what they look like, sound like, and feel like. Specials like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or Frosty the Snowman, or Jack Frost, or The Year Without a Santa Claus. They've delighted people for decades. Through their many animated specials, Rankin Bass shaped and deepened the lore around Christmas. They've become the staple for what a holiday special should look and feel like, and turned stop-motion animation into a medium for all ages that still continues to this day, both during Christmas and outside of the holiday. I'm hoping that with diving into the Rankin Bass legacy and lore, I'll be able to turn my own Christmas spirit around. With that said, my name's Josh Taylor, this is Modern Mouse, and today we're going to be talking about how Rankin Bass shaped the legacy and lore around Christmas, and how their stop-motion animated films created an aesthetic for Christmas and for all ages entertainment.
Well, you might not believe it, but the world almost missed Christmas. Oh, excuse me. Call me Sam. What's the matter? Haven't you ever seen a talking snowman before?
Both meeting in 1955 at ABC and starting their careers in television, Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin were a team from the very beginning. Jules Bass was a writer and lyricist, while Arthur Rankin was the artist and designer. They created several TV commercials before starting their own company that would become Rankin Bass Productions, with their first big break being a retelling of Pinocchio in 1960 as a stop-motion TV series. You've probably never heard of this version, and I totally get that. But you have heard of most likely their biggest Christmas special, and the one special that changed animation altogether, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Rudolph existed prior to the Rankin Bass special. The character's popularity dates back to the Great Depression thanks to Robert May. He worked for the department store Montgomery Ward's, or Ward's for some folks. He printed the song into children's books and coloring books after he saw heavy fog in Chicago and wondered how Santa's reindeer made their way at taking Santa around the globe in one night. But the TV special took the classic song and story and created a deeper lore around the North Pole: the reindeer, Cornelius, the abominable snowman, and Hermie the dentist. Just a quick side tangent here. Is it weird to anybody else that Hermie was trying to be a doctor and he completely accepted Rudolph for how he was despite clearly having some sort of medical condition? Seriously, if there's some part of your body that's glowing, I recommend you go see a doctor. Taking a Christmas song and expanding upon it became somewhat of a Rankin Bass tradition. They did it with Frosty the Snowman and how he reappears saying happy birthday with childlike wonder, or how The Year Without Christmas introduces the Snow Miser and Heat Miser characters, two brothers that control the weather. After their song and dance number was such a hit, they even got their own special. So their special was about a Christmas special that was deepening the lore of Christmas. It's basically Christmasception. Plus, the island of misfit toys has become something of a common phrase that surpasses the holiday season. Honestly, if you tell me that you're part of the island of misfit toys, I know exactly what you're saying, and you probably fit in more with my life and Modern Mouse more than you realize.
So the whole let's make an animated special out of a 3-minute song got pretty out of hand. Did you see Leprechaun's Christmas Gold? I'm not sure Christmas in Killarney needs a whole special made about it.
What exactly do leprechauns have to do with Christmas at all?
Why, they have Christmas gold.
Christmas gold?
Yeah, so the leprechaun, Blarney Killarney, who is actually voiced by Art Carney, has to protect Christmas gold from Magda Hag, a banshee who is made of tears and trapped under a Christmas tree.
That can't be real.
It's the true meaning of Christmas. Hoarding gold under 4-leaf clovers, defeating banshees.
The gold's yours, lad. Never let her have it. Promise me now, on your dear mother's name.
I promise.
Take in, Geddy Doyle. Give me that gold before Christmas, or you're doomed.
Getting away from weird leprechaun movies that Joe brings up, I tried visiting one of my local outdoor malls. I was hoping that it would bring some sort of Christmas joy to see people shopping for gifts, or to see a large Christmas tree, but it was weird being outdoors on a sunny day in warm temperatures. It just doesn't feel like Christmas to me. I guess I'm more of a snow miser than a heat miser when it comes to my preference for Christmas weather. After 1964's Rudolph, Rankin Bass would go on to create several holiday specials that would end up being hits, whether they were sequels to specials they'd already created or new originals. Jules Bass, being the songwriter and lyricist that he was, constantly created new classics like the Snow Miser Heat Miser song, or reinvigorated classic holiday tunes and made them staples. The Burl Ives version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or the Jimmy Durante version of Frosty the Snowman have become the most iconic versions of those tunes. New songs like Silver and Gold and A Holly Jolly Christmas or Put One Foot in Front of the Other became classics in their own right, with some becoming annual Christmas songs often heard on the radio or at shopping malls. Something that few people talk about but did shape the future of animation was how Jules Bass and Arthur Rankin brought in celebrities to be part of the voice acting cast. The TV channels and sponsors wanted to make sure that people would tune in, so the production team reached out to people like Burl Ives, Jimmy Durante, Buddy Hackett, and so on. These may not be names that you recognize today, at least not on the level of stardom that they were during their time, but adding celebrities to these specials guaranteed viewership, especially considering that holiday TV specials were unheard of, including animated ones. Rudolph was one of the first Christmas TV specials ever, coming before Charlie Brown or The Grinch, two of the most popular specials that are still running today. Prior to Rankin Bass using big stars, most animation was done with local voiceover talent. These are names most people wouldn't recognize and could be done almost anywhere. In fact, the names that weren't big stars in these TV specials were mostly done in Canada, as it was cheaper to outsource the voice acting to another country than it was to do it in New York or Hollywood.
Should we try to outsource our voices for Modern Mouse? Would that save the channel money?
I'm not sure it would save us any money.
Our time is valuable. If we gave voiceover work to someone just looking for an acting credit, we could save tons on production. I know how things work.
Maybe you're right. We could hire some cheaper voiceover work. It would save us a little bit of time and save us money, but would it be worth it to sacrifice our artistic integrity?
Good call, Josh. We better keep our authentic, completely real voices, no matter the cost.
You hear that? That's a sound of integrity, Joe.
Speaking of outsourcing, the majority of the Rankin Bass specials were actually animated in Japan. While Arthur Rankin would design characters to help the Japanese production teams understand the more Eurocentric cultural references within these stories, the actual work of bringing them to life was done by some of the best in Japan. Tadahito Mochinaga is a name that doesn't get nearly enough recognition, but his style of stop-motion animation, or what was dubbed at the time Animagic, would become a signature look for the holidays. Under a strict schedule, Mochinaga and others, which did include Studio Ghibli creator Hayao Miyazaki, Rankin Bass specials were shot 2 frames at a time, meaning that instead of a shot being taken and then a scene or character moved before the next shot is taken, there would be 2 shots before a figure was moved, which made the figures a little less lifelike, but did give them a toy sensibility. Something that worked for the Christmas specials, considering the holidays and Santa's Workshop is based around toys. When you look at a show like The Little Drummer Boy, you more or less see a puppet or maybe a wooden toy, not a young child. It lent a charm to these specials and made them unique. In specials that needed traditional animation, longtime illustrator Paul Coker was brought in. He had long been associated with creating artwork for greeting cards, so his style of art and animation worked really well with the holidays. Audiences would be familiar enough with the style and associate it with the season. The look of Rankin Bass specials would go on to be celebrated for decades to come, including in other holiday specials. Before Rankin Bass, elves never wore triangular caps, but movies like The Santa Claus or Elf took inspiration from these Rankin Bass specials. In fact, Elf derives much of its color palette, costuming, and architectural design of the North Pole from the Rankin Bass specials. And it gives another nod to those specials with its own stop motion being done the exact same way.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Thanks, Mr. Narwhal.
Other shows took inspiration in creating holiday specials that looked like Rankin Bass. The sitcom Community did a full stop-motion episode, and Saturday Night Live or other comedy skit shows have frequently parodied the Rankin Bass look. TV commercials started getting in on the game too when they looked to be selling things around the holiday season. What started out as a hope that people would enjoy a 1-hour TV special that aired one time in the 1960s became an entire aesthetic for the holidays. It's a look that's lasted for over half of a century, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down, but in fact, ramping up more and more. In an effort to try and celebrate myself, I decided to build a gingerbread house while watching some Christmas specials. I've never particularly been good at building gingerbread houses, so it became increasingly more frustrating than magical. So much so that I wasn't even paying attention to the TV, and instead I was worried about if my house would even stand up for more than 3 minutes.
Hey, what are you watching?
I saw that there was this new Christmas movie on Netflix that starred Lindsay Lohan, and I thought that maybe if I watched it, it would help in the situation where I got Lohan back at that cabin.
Falling for Christmas. Yeah, I watched that, and it was not good. But you gotta stop saying you're Lohan.
Joe, you can't say that. If she hears you, I could get Lohan again.
Just trying to help you. If you're looking for the Christmas spirit, you gotta find something better to watch.
Like what?
Okay, so Rankin made a special called Nestor the Long-Eared Donkey. The donkey lives in Roman time. Everyone around him makes fun of him because of his long ears.
That just sounds like a weird version of Dumbo.
Yeah, but way darker and crossed with Rudolph. His mom dies protecting him from the cold, so he goes on to save Jesus' parents by guiding them through a sandstorm with his crazy long ears.
Is that biblically accurate?
No, they didn't include the octopus by the manger, so...
Thinking about stop motion, it's easy to write off as something for kids. But thanks to Rankin Bass, give or take a few donkey specials, they started a tradition that brought the whole family around the TV. And stop motion as a medium now has this nostalgic factor to it. And these specials in particular have a lot of meaning packed into them, more so than anyone working on them ever thought they'd have. I mean, there's a reason that these stories are still shown on TV over a half a century later. And doing a bit of research, I ended up going down this rabbit hole when looking into the production and its stories. By the end of their productions, many of the stop motion figures were either thrown in the trash or given to children from the production team or left in attics to rot and melt away. There's this Antique Roadshow episode that features one Santa and one Rudolph left over as the last figures from the original special. They were battered and bruised and sold at auction for just a few $100s each. The man that bought them restored them and sold them again for over $300,000. And then they were donated to the Museum of Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, where you can now find them. It's interesting how much these little figures mean to people, that they're worth more than what most people make in a year. But I'm glad that they've been preserved and still live on. Maybe I'll have to make my way to Atlanta sometime soon to see them. Maybe that would bring some holiday spirit back into my life, or maybe I need to just do something different. Dear Lindsay Lohan, or YouTube, or Santa Claus, or whatever, I could really use some Christmas spirit. It's been a hard year. I've got the Christmas blues, and I don't know what I can say or do, but I'm sorry that I've disturbed you or whatever it is. I hope that you'll just... Hello?
The last few videos you've made have been adequate, but you need to do something different.
Lindsay Lohan?
Instead of talking about old shows and movies, you should try to make something more topical.
Santa Claus? Is that you? I swear I've been good this year.
I'll transport you to some place with Christmas magic. If you make a promise to make something more relevant than a video about old love bug movies and Shrek.
Yeah, I promise. Christmas magic is something that came from the Rankin Bass specials, and it resonated with so many people, including other filmmakers, especially in the realm of stop motion. Prior to Rankin Bass, stop motion animation was associated with things like King Kong or Godzilla, big scary monster movies, or adventure films that were adding supernatural elements. But Rankin Bass took the art form and made it something for all ages.
Rudolph, Christmas is not off, and you're going to lead my team.
I am?
yes, sir. You and that wonderful nose of yours.
And that tradition has continued on to this day. Tim Burton fell in love with it and created the short Vincent for Disney, going on to produce the Henry Selick-directed Nightmare Before Christmas. Clearly a film that's a tribute to those old TV specials. Laika Studios solely makes family-friendly stop-motion films, with Coraline and Kubo and the Two Strings being major standout animated films, maybe some of the best of the 21st century. And just in 2022 alone, there's been Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Wendell and Wild, and even Oscar award-winning director Guillermo del Toro got in on the action, creating a new stop-motion version of Pinocchio, linking the medium all the way back to the first big Rankin Bass production, The Adventures of Pinocchio, which gives me an idea.
Okay, I've got one more obscure special for you. Pinocchio's Christmas. It's really weird. In the saddest spin on Gift of the Magi, Geppetto sells his boots to buy Pinocchio a math book. So Geppetto's now barefoot to give Pinocchio just about the worst Christmas gift of all time. Worse yet, Pinocchio is tricked into selling the math book to get cash to buy Geppetto a gift. But rather than buy socks or something for sad old Geppetto, Pinocchio gets tricked by Fox and Cat into bearing the money to grow a money tree. Which is the kind of obvious and lazy scam that only Pinocchio would fall for. So because both Geppetto and Pinocchio are absolutely terrible at gifts, they're both now poor, sad exposed toes, and a block of wood's understanding of math. Oh yeah, and Pinocchio still has a puppet girlfriend, which the Blue Fairy actually thinks is awesome, zaps her to life too, and sends her to live with Geppetto.
That's it. That's the answer to Christmas.
Whoa, I'm glad you're not a Grinch anymore, but I'm not sure I understand. What's the answer to Christmas? A boy who can't math good or puppet trafficking?
So many of the stop-motion Rankin Bass specials look like little wooden dolls come to life. And when we were children, we played with our toys like they were our friends. There's something magical about the childhood innocence and imagination, and how we choose to interact with the world, including our toys. Christmas magic is a lot like that. It's believing that anything is possible, and that includes leprechauns and banshees and donkeys with socks on their ears, and even Pinocchio. The answer is Pinocchio. It's relevant, it's magical, and there's a lot to say about it.
Are you feeling okay? Are you talking to Lindsay Lohan again?
No? Yes? I'm not sure, but I've got this idea for the channel that I think will work.